And as you guys are wondering, it's very important in reference to the security companies and event companies that, in reference to security companies that my parents owned. My father owned studios and motion picture companies. And check the information in reference to what football stadiums and basketball stadiums or baseball stadiums, if any, that my mother and father owned. Like, check to see what nationwide security companies my parents owned, to find out, in reference to like Beverly Hills Security, see if my mother and father owned any of those. Because my mother and father owned factories too. Is that not true? Look up the information. All the information I mentioned, look it up and see if anybody's conspiring against me too. It's very important in reference to history and the laws of Eliot Ness. See if there's any security company that's worked for any company. And check fast food restaurants too. Like, I guess CSC is one of the security companies that does work for McDonald's and Burger King. And check to see if my mother and father owned any fast food restaurants. Or see if any security companies was holding on to $1 billion or of monies from my mother or father. I'm not sure. Somebody has some information about some security companies and energy companies and cable networks, and check phone companies too. My parents possibly had a lot of investments in a lot of varieties of companies. So check to see the history of things, if people have tried to do. The Treasury knows this information too. And the Royal Protocol of My Identities and the media. It's even filmed during football games and baseball games, basketball games. It's on TV 24 hours a day. So anybody politically or that is trying to terrorize my life or trying to block me from revenues or monies or anything at all in reference to my rights and privileges, or if any of them have been stealing my postal mail or intercepting phone calls or blocking or cock blocking me in relationships such as females, or it's pretty much this type of situation could be one of those situations where they have to check to see what people was involved in the murder of my parents, because there's possibly some dirty business people that was involved in the murder of my parents. And I guess there was some guy that stole an airplane, and he's claiming to be some big fancy guy or something. And somebody keeps communicating about this man that is some CIA man or something, I don't know. That this man possibly stole one of my mother's private jets, and he went around trying to put his name on it or something. I'm not quite sure, but somebody's tried to say something about that. That man needs to get arrested and prosecuted. I'm not friends with that man, and I won't ever be friends with that dirty government man or any of these people. It's never signed, never, never gave, never, never sold, never, not, never. So no matter who anybody is, the Royal Protocol's in the media. It says if anybody tries to cause me any problems at all. And look up the information in reference to anybody trying to contest my identity or trying to contest my ownership. Because it strictly says in reference to the laws of Eliot Ness, anybody blocking me from my mother and father's mansions, or blocking me from my mother and father's estates, or blocking me from business properties, no matter who the hell they are, they're supposed to issue warrants for every person's name that is involved. That's the facts of the laws of Eliot Ness. Reference to people terrorizing my life, or people trying to steal the Royal Oil companies of my grandparents or mother and father, or any companies. Look up, when I mention a company or mention something about a category, there's somebody that has a database that is supposed to be making media announcements in reference to the names of these people. Because, some of these people are in the media, and they're advertising that they're real big wigs. But then they're the ones that are conspiring, blocking my identity and blocking me from being publicized in the media. This is so important in reference to the FCC laws. Why they had allowed liars to get on television and to publicize themselves. Maybe the FCC needs to go into court so the courts could find out who some of these people are. And don't forget all the sports teams, if any, that my parents owned, and stadiums. Every single one of them is copywritten. So in reference to a front man trying to steal anything, you're in violation of copyright infringements. Which means, you know, sports teams are worth billions of dollars. So in reference to any tricksters, you know, people need to go into court. Somebody might tell you smile for the camera in those court proceedings.